welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt. With me today is longtime listener, poet laureate, and Taya master Anne-Marie Young. This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. So we're joined today by another Canadian Anne-Marie. I mean, I have a Canadian co-host, as you know, Jody Lynn
Yeah.
Craven. So I have the Canadian vibe going. I also have gotten really good at noticing the Canadian accent. The only problem is our guest today doesn't have it. So this is going to be a little bit confusing.
Oh no.
Her name is Elka Schultz, and Elka is an EMDR specialist. And first of all, Elka, welcome to the program. We're glad you could
Thank
join us
you.
today. How you doing?
Thank you. Good, good. Happy to be here.
And give us a little bit of the biography. Tell us a little bit about, how you got to doing what you're doing, which is pretty important and pretty impressive stuff.
Wow, it's like a short version of where to start.
Yeah, right, right. No
Yeah.
pressure, no pressure. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So right now I'm a registered psychotherapist. I have a
Mhm.
private practice. I've been in the mental health field for over 30 years.
Mm.
And for me, I say I've been there. Like I've been in the swamp, in the desperate, depressed, disappointed, discouraged place, and got myself out. And I've had a lot of really cool experiences. I've written some books because I believe it doesn't have to be so difficult.
Mhm.
So my mind, the way it works, it's very practical. So that might be because I'm firstborn German Aries
Okay.
import. And then it's funny too, because you said I don't have an accent. A lot of times people think I'm American because I've lived on a border city, Niagara Falls. So
Oh, okay. Yeah.
when I hang around people at the border, I start, that buffalo twang comes out. Yeah, so I don't really have like a Northern Canadian, but I do some of the little cool, the A. I do actually say that, which is weird, but anyways, it
Well, at least you know you
happens.
do it. That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes my American friends wait for it. Oh, oh yeah, that does happen. Yes, it does. They'll sit there very quiet and you think, what's going on here? And they're waiting for that. So, yeah, so and my thing is to empower people. So
Mm.
that's what I'm hoping to do today and make it easier. Like because my background was we didn't talk about anxiety. In fact, I didn't even know I had it till I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
Um, I have mild dyslexia, so nobody ever called me stupid or dumb. However, I put that label on me.
Wow.
My brothers have like they're very intelligent with engineering and facts, where
Mhm.
I'm more ethereal. My brilliance is that I'm a really great listener. I'm a great detective and therapist,
Mhm. Mhm.
and so that more that hands-on. And so I didn't fit because my dad was a high school teacher and I was firstborn, and his daughter should go to university.
Yeah.
And
What's wrong with you? Come on.
yeah, no kidding,
Stay
right?
with the
And
program.
yeah, so I just did not fit in. And this will date me, but we had like the 5 year and 4 year program. So
Mm.
sometimes they call it applied in science, and I did way better in applied.
Okay.
And however, that was not acceptable for a high school teacher's daughter.
Ah, I see. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it was, high school was not easy for me. In fact, I didn't even want to live anymore. So, yeah, so that's kind of dark.
I would say, yeah, just a tad. The darker gray
And,
area.
yeah, I just had two really great teachers, a drama teacher who years later I realized that I modeled a lot of my facilitation around how he modeled the class and how he
Really?
facilitated. Yeah, and I got a
Okay.
chance to tell him, which was really lovely. I attribute him and my creative writing teacher for saving my life. Yeah, I
Wow.
came out of myself and actually felt hopeful, and that was in grade 11. So yeah, it was a turning point.
My ex is a former psychotherapist. I've had lots of therapists and coaches and psychologists and psychiatrists and you name it. Put the ist on. They've been on the show. One of the themes that shows up over and over again is why it is people go into that field, and it's usually because they're trying to figure out their own family dynamics. It sounds like that's the case with you too.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, all of us therapists admit to that. I mean, however, it wasn't conscious.
Mm.
One of the things is I'm highly sensitive, so I'm very audio, and I was one of those kids that really kind of, parent or adults, they kind of, I don't know, they dreaded me asking questions because I'd ask those really deep questions that no one can answer, like the meaning of life, or why if you didn't have money and you didn't give money to church, you weren't any good, but you were
Mm.
still a good person, and it kind of sent people scattering.
I can definitely align with that because, like you, I'm the eldest. Like you, I had that kind of challenge with, not just religion, but just society in general. And like you, I'm a listener. Like you, I'm a questioner. That's what happens when you end up being a podcast host. But I also picked it up from my father, who was like the ultimate questioner. He could question anybody about anything on any topic at any time for as long as you wanted him to, and even longer than you wanted him to. So
Yeah.
that's where I learned the skill from. Um, it's both a blessing and a curse because of what you just said. You can alienate people, and I suspect you had to learn what I had to learn, which was when to shut up.
Well, I was that annoying new employee.
Yeah.
And I just asked every single possible question.
Hmm.
However, the interesting part, once I learned that I was kind of, bothering people, I just said, you know what? I'll ask everything once and I'll
Oh,
remember
okay.
it. And
Okay.
so then they kind of relaxed. And honestly, within a week or 2 days, whatever, I had it down pat. So I was that type of learner. Now give me history facts, forget it. I'd never make it on Jeopardy. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of, I prep people.
Hmm. Well, Anne Marie can identify with it. I mean, she's a project manager, and so and she also has to be a listener. I mean, so a lot of what Elka is talking about, Anne Marie, you do.
Yeah, I'm forever asking questions, but I don't remember the facts that easily. I think my age are catching up with me, but certainly, yeah, I just have to ask questions. And I always find that if you're not asking the question, somebody else also wants that answer. So you're helping other people out at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's okay. I mean, I think it's okay to ask questions. I never thought that it was ever a bad thing.
No, I
Mhm.
don't think so.
And so as a facilitator, I'm very relaxed because people will ask questions, and in your mind you might go, well, I just said that. But then you learn to say it a different way, and you
Yes.
learn
Yeah.
to and you realize that, language, and I am a wordsmith, that language, people hear it differently,
Hmm.
even though, the word, it has many different meanings, and English is not the greatest language, which is interesting to me because, like I also have a second language. I don't know if you guys do. Like sometimes English, you need a paragraph to describe a word in another language.
Hmm.
And
Because
and
English is so multi-valued. I mean, we have more definitions for words than any. I mean, you can take two or three other languages, put them together, and they still don't have as many definitions for a word as we do. It's crazy.
right. And I've had exchange students for things. So yeah, so explaining that, oh yeah, this word can mean this, and this, and it sounds the same. It may be spelt three different ways, but
Yeah, I think it's a good reason why dictionaries are particularly well known and associated with English. I mean, they exist for other languages, but English has like tomes that are the dictionaries, right? They're massive, they're gigantic because
right.
of the exact
Mhm.
thing that you're talking about. Yeah, it's the challenge. On the other hand, it also gives us a lot to play with. I mean, you can paint almost anything with English. It just depends on how creative you want to get with it and how important it is whether or not you communicate well, because that's a big piece of it. Communication is tough. I mean,
Right.
I'm actually experiencing it right now in a different context. I'm doing a lot of work with AI. I have a tech background, and when AI came along for the first time in my life, I found something I actually like with tech. The thing about AI is they're talking, right? They're communicating. And the exact same issues that occur with humans occur with AI, but in different ways.
Yeah.
The biggest challenge with AI is they don't define words the way we do.
Well, you know what I find interesting about AI is that it really has helped me with clarity.
Mm.
So it'll come back and you just go, that's not even close to what I was asking about. And
You're
so
right.
so then you go back and you go, okay, what is it that I'm really asking?
Mhm.
And I've kind of dropped the please and thank yous and just said, okay, you know, you're an expert. This is your knowledge base, and this is what I'm looking for. And it's been really good because at the beginning it would take me sometimes hours. Now I'm pretty good at the second try. Not
That's
always the
good.
first one, you know, because
Yeah.
AI you can just say, no, not good enough. You're not going to
Hmm.
offend
That's
them.
true. Yeah.
And then go again. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, it is really interesting, actually.
It's very interesting. Yeah. The thing that I found has been really helpful in my most recent work. Now, I'm one of these people who it's not just enough for me to play with AI. I have to actually build something with it. So I'm creating software that the AI is involved with.
That's
And
cool.
toward that goal, it becomes really important to know how the AI are using certain words. So,
Oh,
so I actually had my AI very recently create a glossary so that when they use terms in a certain way, I could look up in the glossary what they meant by it. And once I read it, it made sense. It's just not the way I would have used the
yeah.
words. For instance, the word shelf. Now, if you heard the word shelf, now this is in the context of the AI writing software. If you heard the word shelf, what would be the first thing that would come to your mind?
Well, two, you can shelf an idea or a shelf that's a physical shelf.
Right. And
Yes.
and what it meant to them is the place where they put their tools.
That's funny.
So, I mean, it's really important to define the terms when you're working with AI or with humans for that matter. I mean, how many times do we make assumptions about what it is that we mean and that the other person means, and that assumption gets us in trouble because it's not the same thing that the other person had in mind?
Right.
I mean, that's
Well, I
part of what
find that
psychotherapy is, isn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. And also, yeah, because I counsel people with that and with language, and so many people text, and I'm just going, don't text important information.
Yeah, right.
As you're so this is really interesting too. There's strategies that, you know, I have had people like I don't know if you know NVC, nonviolent communication. It's a strategy, and part of it is where you ask the other person to repeat back what they heard, and it is phenomenal because I had a one situation where the guy he was just creating anxiety because it was a tenant and he kept canceling appointments, and my whole life is appointments because clients practice courses blah blah blah, right? Anyways, I said I get a lot of anxiety when you cancel last minute,
Mm.
and it was a little wordier, but I won't go into that. Well, I said, can you repeat back what you're hearing me say? And he goes, oh, you think I'm a blah, 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 blah," and I'm talking like exclamation mark in swear words, which
Wow.
I never said. But what was fascinating is that's what he heard.
Mm.
And
gosh.
so I repeated it. I had to go 3 times before he actually calmed down because I just said, I didn't react. I just said, wow, can I try again?
Yeah, right.
And then still the turning the air blue of what. And
Wow.
so my point though is that people, if they have this lens or this framework that's already in their head,
Mm.
that's what they're hearing from people.
Mhm.
And it's not even the words that I use. And like I said, I tried 3 times and I have a skill. So I didn't react. I said, you know, I'm obviously not saying this right because I'm not using those words. And then I said it a little bit differently. And then when he got it, the compassion, he goes, oh
Mm.
my gosh, I had no idea. I don't have any appointments in my and then I got it too, right?
Mhm.
And so, and we quickly as soon as we came to that place, had a resolution. So it's just fascinating to me. So that's why, text, and like you said, people, we assume because, we're wearing a certain lens, and yeah, and then that's how we interpret English on top of all the nuances.
And also, some people have trigger words, don't they? I remember when I
Yes.
studied counselling, the teacher didn't like the word childish, and I actually thought childish was wonderful. It meant, you're going back to your child-like
Right.
state. She took major offense. She used to cross it out of my essays, and I was like, no, that's your trigger, not mine. So it
Right.
just really triggered her.
Yeah. Yeah. Selfish is another one, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see selfish as necessarily bad. I think it's quite good.
No, no, no. And it depends how, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
It probably depends in part on how the word has been used with you. If you're constantly accused of being selfish, you're going to have a certain twist on
Yeah.
Mm.
I had to change it.
it.
So I changed it to self-care. So then, and it's interesting because I was brought up that way, don't be selfish, you're lazy, blah, 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 blah. So then, when my friend in my 20s, she said, you need to be selfish because you're really boring.
Ooh.
And I went, ouch. But she was right. She said, you're tired all the time. And she said, if you want to be serving, because I was a sign painter and graphic design,
Hmm.
or in one of my past lives. And she said, well, if you want to be 100% with your clients and you want to be serving 100%, you've got to be 100%. And so I thought, and that made sense to me.
Mm.
So that was, then I just said, you know what, that sounds like self-care to me. So I changed that. And then I actually counsel my clients that way. And they really like it because they think, oh, I don't want to be selfish. And I go, yep, that's what we've been taught.
Yeah. Mhm.
Very
So
true. In fact,
yes,
Anne-Marie, I was
basically.
just thinking, because of the nature of what you do, you work with other people, kind of like myself. You work with people in the technical field, and tech has its own verbiage. Basically, tech needs its own glossary, and you had to
It does,
learn the
yeah.
glossary. You had to learn the terminology, right?
Yeah, everything's abbreviated, and I spend most of my time on Copilot going, "What's this short for?" But yeah, you do. You have to have your glossary. Um, it's a complicated world. It
And
is like another language.
but what do you do when you're talking with somebody on your team and you're trying to, I don't know, iron something out, you're trying to get something done in a particular time or whatever, and the
Yep.
terminology gets in the way? How do you handle that?
I ask what they mean.
Okay, so
I've
more
actually
more
I've
questions.
actually had meetings where I've listed them all down. This was a few years ago, and I've just gone, can you tell me what XYZ mean, please? And
Mm.
somebody actually said, I've never heard anybody do that before. Everybody just pretends they know. And when I ask questions, the amount of time people go, I don't know what it means.
You know what I say? I say, I'm not kindergarten. However, I'm grade one. So, because I just had a generator put in and gas fittings, and I like know nothing about these things, and I
Mm,
wanted to know, right? So I just said, kid, and I told the young guy that, and then people are like super easy and simple language, and he explained the whole process. It was brilliant, and I was so appreciative. And I've done that when I get stuck, like when we have to do government forms. I don't know how it is for you guys, but I'll tell you. I swear you get the wrong button or the wrong phone or you're ending up an hour and you've tried, 10 times. So I will try and get a person and then I just say the same. I just go, you know what? And I don't put myself down. I just make a joke out of it because I'm not kindergarten. I just say I'm grade one. But
Hmm.
I don't understand this and I'm getting I know it's not your fault. And they go, oh, yeah, yeah, no worries, no worries. And then people seem to be, they get it because, or else I'll say, you know what? It's like you speaking another language to me that I don't understand.
mm.
Mm.
And then they'll explain it. And I'm always happy to do that too. If someone doesn't understand something, I get
I
it.
By the way, what you're describing right now is also a great way to deal with AI.
I was just about to say, Walt,
Okay.
that's exactly what
Right?
I do with AI. If I'm asking something technical and it's not my area, I will just literally go, explain this to me like I'm 5.
Beautiful.
And
Yeah, I've
it,
done that with some things, and it's
yeah,
been great.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And by the way, the AI love that. They really do. Well,
Actually,
like a
that's
human does.
funny.
You were just
Yeah.
describing, Elka, how humans are so kind and compassionate when they're asked to do that. It's because you're tapping into their expertise. They get to, be the expert. That feels good. I don't care how bad your situation is. If you're the expert for a moment, you're going to put all the cares aside for a moment and say, "Oh, sure, yeah, here's the deal."
I had that this morning. And I said, I asked a question about, I wanted to succinct something on my website. And they said, "Oh, that's such a great question. I love doing this kind of work." And I'm going, "What?" Sometimes if I'm, kind of impish, I'll go, "What do you mean by love?" "Oh no, I don't know what love is. I'm just warming it up because because I put in my voice, right? And so it has like my writings and how I
Right.
speak and stuff like that. So I just have to laugh.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm with you. I love that too. And you learn things that way actually. By
What's
by
that?
by
Sorry?
by framing it that way, by asking the stupid question, what would often be called a stupid question. You can learn a lot doing that.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's really amazing what you can learn. Now, I partially introduced you by saying you have expertise in EMDR. Let's talk a little bit about that. It's not a topic actually we've addressed extensively on the program. I have another
Okay.
co-host, Joel Elston. He's a coach. He's talked about it a little bit, but we haven't had somebody who actually is an expert at it. So we need you to kind of lay the landscape a little bit.
Super. Well, I am actually internationally certified. So it's
Okay.
the highest certification for EMDR. And what that means is that, so I'm certified, well, it is literally international, that I need to keep that credential. And by doing that, we have to take courses every 2 years, so many credits, and be up on all the newest technology. And it is trauma training. So that is a specialty of mine, is
Mhm.
trauma work. And it's interesting to me because, here you talk about language, and I guess in a way, when I do my work, I try to be compassionate and blah, blah, blah. And then my clients will say, "You talk different to me than other therapists." And
Oh.
well, because I'm very cognizant of the trauma and very cognizant of what's going on in their psyche and nervous system. And so, yeah, so it is a different level of training for sure. And it is a privilege, actually. So, what it means, and you can interrupt me and stop me anytime. What it means, EMDR means eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And that phrase was coined about 45 years ago, and she regrets that term.
Really
Well,
interesting.
because it is eye movement. However, it's bilateral stimulation.
Oh, okay.
And what it does is, so once she coined it, because it was so effective, so fast that, those letters stuck.
Mm.
Um, However, it is bilateral stimulation. So the stimulation can be sound, it can be eye movement, it can be light, it can be tapping. There's different forms of tapping. And so what you're doing, and this is so fascinating to me, I'm a neuroscience geek, by the way,
I get
is
that. Yeah.
it stimulates the brain and it shuffles it. It's like this gentle stimulation. Like for
Mhm.
me, I'm always fascinated is why do we remember things? Why did it float up into the, forefront? And so what EMDR does, so we work on a traumatic memory. And, like you were saying, Anne Marie, maybe it's a trigger, like a
Yeah.
trigger word or trigger situation. And so EMDR doesn't take the terrible event away. All it does is file it. So instead of it being as if it happened 20 minutes ago, it puts it in the memory bank. And it does that by this gentle tapping. And, it's so interesting because science, we have so much proof. It's a top tier therapy in the world. It has been since 2013. And they've come up with some other techniques which are just so fascinating. They know it works. They really don't know why.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, it's so cool. Like, we've got this jelly mass, like the size of our fists, right? Like two fists put together. That's our brain size. Um, and we just really don't know how it works. Like they map it out, and actually I have equipment in my office that maps out the brain, and we now have scans that we can do that a practitioner like myself can buy. And now they just came out with an app. They announced it today, where you can put it on your phone, and my clients can do it. They could do a neurological scan from. So it's
Really?
yeah, it's so crazy. It's so cool. And so yeah, so basically that's what EMDR does. And
Wait. You can't leave that fruit hanging and dangling there. You can't do that. That's just not fair to listeners. We got to at least talk a little bit more about what is this app you're talking about?
yeah, so and I said interrupt me, so
Well, I just did.
100%, I love it. So it's actually Brain Tap. I mean, I have the headset here. I can quickly show you if you wanted to. So, um, okay, let me go back in history a little bit. Do you remember the Silva method? Do you remember
Yeah.
hearing about that? Okay,
Mhm.
beautiful. So Silva, as you know, was a radio technician and was into radio waves. And this is edited version, right? So he posed that idea into brain waves
Mhm.
and was very successful with his children. They all became geniuses. They also they got into ESP, so being very intuitive. So very, very fascinating work. So Mind Valley, and the reason I'm telling you this, there's a little bit of history how to brain tap came. So Jose Silva, so Patrick Porter, who designed this neurotech and this brain tap, was a little boy. His dad worked for Jose Silva.
Oh my.
Yeah, so great, so much fun. I've met Patrick Porter myself, and he's amazing. So he actually is a technical, like he's also into technology,
Hmm.
and he's a psychologist. So
Oh my.
I know. So Brain Tap is also not new. Brain Tap started probably, maybe 35 years ago. They started
Wow.
with cassettes. Cassettes and a headset. That's how they started with Walkmans. I was at, they had a Brain Camp conference, so I went last summer, which was a blast. And so now, of course, you can have the app on your phone, and every morning I put on the headset. And so the technology that they're using, so the Silva method, who's now bought by Mind Valley, so that's now current, right? And actually, Silva's daughter sits on the board of Mind Valley with
Uh,
Vision. So, and Paul McKenna. So all this, which is proven, I mean, whether you want to believe it or not, it does work. So Brain Tap, what Patrick did, he put in six. So audio, he did binaural beats, hypnosis, neurolinguistics, and there's two more, which off the top of my head, I don't have it totally memorized, but so yeah, so he's put that in a headset. And I've been using that headset for 3 years now, and I have clients that use it. And it's like having like a mini therapy session or whatever you want, visualization, meditation. And what it does actually is, so our brains, and again, you can stop me and ask me questions. So our brains, what happens is our brain waves are like this all over the
all over the
place,
place. Yeah.
right? And people come and I mean, when they come into my office, very dysregulated, very unsettled. Let me put it that way. My brain never shuts off. I said, of course it doesn't. It's not meant to. What we've got to do is calm the front part down and let the back do the work. So brain tap, what brain tap helps is it calms these waves, and it gets them working together so that in the morning you've got a nice alpha and you slowly wake up. And now you and I, we're in beta, maybe a little bit of theta, I don't know. And we can tap into our intelligence. Like our brains actually are, you know what, we're far superior than AI and far faster. Like, and this is old stuff. This isn't even new. Jack Canfield, he talked about, so our brain, the other brain, can process 4 billion bits of information per second. Per second. So when you know this, you start going, well, wait a minute. And Daniel Amen, who's also a very fascinating neuroscience doctor in New York. You probably heard of him. Amazing. So I got to give him credit for this. He says, nickname your brain. So it's a great strategy because it's not us. And well, we could do a whole other talk about that.
That's common on this show. We end up on something that could do an entire hour. We just have to live with it at times.
Yeah. So I have people nickname their brains.
Okay.
And I mean, after explaining, some things, and because we're not our thoughts, the brain, and I actually have a YouTube on that you're not your brain, so people can even look that up. So you can, and I don't tell people my nickname until they tell me theirs. So there's so many so, but in session, and so I tell her at night, I say, okay, I need to sleep. I'm a phenomenal sleeper, by the way. I have phenomenal sleep. I need to sleep, and this is what you've got to do for me. So I give her tasks, and so I guide my clients that way because they go, my brain never shuts up. And that's where I go, it's not supposed to. So okay, I can share one of my clients. So she named hers Bertha. So I said, tell Bertha to let you sleep. And she goes, oh, yeah, I keep forgetting. And so when she tells Bertha to let her sleep, and then she gives Bertha the task, so you can be as creative as you want. You can say, okay, Bertha, I need you to figure out tomorrow I've got a presentation to do. I've got to be brilliant. You got to give me, just like you do with AI, give her the list and let her do it in the back office. So, and Patrick, and this is not just Patrick Porter, but they've discovered, so we have the conscious where we are now, we have the unconscious, the subconscious, we have a superconscious, and they think there's more back there. And this is not multiple personality stuff.
Okay, so I am going to interrupt you because
Yes.
you gave a distinction there that normally I don't get. You distinguish between unconscious and subconscious, and then you threw superconscious in just to mess me up. So let's actually dive in. What is the difference between subconscious and unconscious?
Well, unconscious is like right now, I guess unconscious is where you're done. Maybe you're in a coma. Or you're sleeping, you're unconscious, or maybe you've been hit in the head or something like that.
So zero conscious awareness is what we're saying.
Sorry?
Zero conscious awareness.
Yeah, and your subconscious is going all the time, like it's going right now.
Okay.
Where it's happening.
Okay, that clarifies it. And then what's the superconscious? Because again, you messed me up with that one. So
yeah, so the superconscious is when you tap into the bigger conscious.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can call it what you want. It does exist. And so, yeah, these guys that I've mentioned, I mean, if you want to read their books, you can. I live it, and I teach my clients how to tap into that.
Interesting. Now, the terms we tend to use, because we're in the woo land, so we'll tend to use higher self for the superconscious. Subconscious and unconscious, we tend to equate them. But now that I know the distinction that you're laying out, I'm going to be very careful about that and say, no, we're not talking about the unconscious. We're talking about subconscious. Let's be very specific here. So thank you for that. Yeah. You just made me sound smarter. I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're all brilliant. 100%. We just got to tap into it. And, it's been liberating for me because I grew up not feeling brilliant. I wasn't into my brilliance. And when I started, I always knew, even as a kid, that I was going to write a book. I didn't know what. And this first book came out of conversations I had with my art students. And what I noticed my students did really, really well. Like their trajectory was like this. And so that always fascinated me. And I just went, why? Like what is going on here that they're all successful, not just 80% or 60%. No, they were all of
They're
them.
all tapping into something.
Yeah. And so I had some great conversations with them. I said, and they trusted me. I said, do you want to like do some experimenting? Because they're coming back saying that after the class, they had the best day ever. And then sometimes it lasted to the next day or at least half the day. They had all these synchronicities. And I'm going, there's something here that we're doing. We got to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So we had these great conversations and a lot of experience. And so I would I would start typing and I started writing articles and expanding on the conversations. And eventually there was my first book. And interestingly enough, it's so funny, here, this little island, and I wasn't the only island, it was an intermodal book, which is actually an expressive arts book, which is multiple modalities. And so what was happening with my clients is inadvertently, and this comes from my teachers, that I would make tea and so I was stimulating their senses. We would relax. I would play, nice music. I thought I was being friendly because I didn't know. And then, we would get into the arts. Well, we're going into liminal space. We're going into a whole nother realm, which of course I learned after. And I wrote my first edition. And then that's when I went to school. I went to school for my master's after I wrote my first edition.
Somehow it's appropriate, I think. I mean, I think it's actually more appropriate than the way it's normally done because in theory, you're supposed to be developing some authority in order to get the higher degree like that. Well, you did. You got the authority before you got the degree. Most people wait till afterward.
Yeah. And I ended up writing my thesis on the third edition because I got my master's and then did my master's thesis. And I wanted to make it internationally acceptable because I was on the Expressive Arts International Board. Because in places like India, Cambodia, mostly India, people would either get imprisoned for a book like that. And so I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't putting them at risk. They they practice a lot of them in secret. However, the book would not have them tortured or anything like that.
Good news, yeah.
Yeah. So, yes. And what was interesting is when I met my teachers, I actually met other teachers that were islands. Again, it was very experiential. And there was this, when you start being curious and you're asking these questions and you're going, why is this working? And then articulating it. And then the book actually follows a very traditional learning model, which starts with breathing. And and then goes into global awareness. So there's all these stages, which is really fascinating. And so I did that before I knew of the models. Yeah.
Okay. So let's define some terms and tie things together here because you start off talking about the fact that you had an intermodal situation, intermodal experience going on.
Right.
So let's define modal first of all. What kind of modes are we talking about here?
So breathing can be a modal, having T. So T could be like circle. So this sensory. Now, art modalities, we're looking at visual arts, painting, clay. We could also do movement, music, sound, poetry, interestingly enough, because of the way, that's sorry. The way that we paint poetry So what happens when it's intermodal is you're going from one modality to another. And so what was happening with my students doing circle, T, music, I was already taking them into modalities. So then when I was teaching them, it started out with teaching them calligraphy, and that's very spatial art. They succeeded. However, they also went into another place of meditation. And
So, in other words, you're saying it's the changing of modalities in relatively rapid fashion that creates the effect of having such breakthrough moments every single time.
yeah, and I wouldn't say rapid, but it might feel rapid if it's within 2 hours.
Yeah, yeah, rapid as opposed to like, strung out over a month.
Right, gotcha. Well, there we go. We're defining terms.
That's right, exactly. You have to define your terms if you want the other person to know what the heck you're talking about.
Right. Thank you for, yeah, so that's fun. Yeah.
So that's very cool, though, because, I don't think you necessarily meant it the way that I'm about to use it, but that's actually fairly similar to the way I do the show because we like going down rabbit holes very often. Rabbit holes are a big thing. And every time you go down a rabbit hole, you're really engaging in a new mode. Now, the
Yes.
subtitle of the show is Your Daily Dose of Happy. And the goal is you, other co-hosts like Anne Marie, listeners, at the end of the show, I want everybody to be in a better space, feeling better. That's how we're doing it, by diving down the rabbit holes. I just never made the connection.
Yeah, it's lovely, right? Because,
Yeah.
yeah, and then of course, I'm guessing your other guests get excited, like I get
Oh,
excited,
yeah.
because we go into our passion. And the cool part with all of this, so my third, like they ask you after you've done your thesis master's, is what is next? And for me, it was diving deeper into neuroscience,
Yeah, sure.
which of course brings us back to, the brain science and the stimulation of, we can choose how we treat our brains. And there's such great research out now that really confirms what we suspected 30 years ago.
I'm going to bring in a little story to tell, a little narrative that happened within the last couple days that illustrates not only, I think, the importance of this, but also shows how it's not totally accepted by large chunks of the population that this kind of thing is okay. The particular story is that there was an article I read, and to be honest, I don't even remember what the details of the article were, but the gist of it was that people get the advice that they should follow their passion, and the author was saying that's a bad idea, and was giving all these reasons why they thought it was a bad idea. And
Um,
all these people were leaving comments underneath saying, yeah, it's a terrible idea. Here's why I think so and so forth. So I left a comment saying, well, you guys can do what you want. I did just the opposite. I ended up following the money rather than following my passion. It made my life miserable. It wasn't until I left that behind that my life turned around because up until that point, I went through a crash and burn where I lost everything. I was completely confused about life and so forth. And I came out the other side partly by doing this podcast and partly by trying to dive into, well, what is my passion? What is it that I really care about in life? The reason I tell this little anecdote is my comment got deleted for violating community standards. And this was
whoa.
on Yahoo, an American website. And America is generally considered to be, relatively open-minded about this stuff. Well, not so much in America. If that's true in America, I can only imagine how that might get received in other places.
Wow, that's brutal. And what's so interesting is a signature talk I'm working on is called I Lost Everything.
Really? Oh, no kidding.
And I'm with you, I'm with you 100% because I follow my passion. And
Hmm.
it's been fun and crazy and risky, and I've fallen on my face so many times. A fun little thing is my one girlfriend that I was in grade 1 with, her husband asked me, he's an engineer. He goes, "So what's your marketing plan?" I laughed at him because I was speaking at a show and I was a guest, a guest speaker, and he goes, "What's your marketing plan?" I said, "My marketing plan?" I said, "I do what I love. I go by the seat of my pants." And he just went, "What?" And he wasn't interested, and he kind of went, whatever. And my son, he's got a computer in his head. He's super brilliant. He's asked me sometimes the same, and he's going, "Mom, like about 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, he said, you got to start investing, for your retirement." And I went, "Well, I'm building a greenhouse." And he goes, "Stop doing the fun stuff." And I'm going, "Dude, I get more out of my greenhouse than some silly investment. I'm growing my own food and I love it." And he asks me every single year, this is true. This is so true. And I love him dearly. And he knows this. He'll say in the spring, he goes, "Do you still like that greenhouse? Do you still enjoy that?" I go, "It's my happy place." One of my happy places. But yeah, and I agree. When we're following our passion, our health, like people, and I know this may sound crazy and whatever. I posted my a new picture profile on Facebook, and people are going like, and it's not AI. I don't do the filter or anything like that. And my hair color's mine because gingers, we don't go white till, I don't know. My mom still has her hair color and she's in her late 80s. Um, and they're just going, "How do you do it?" And I'm pharmaceutical free.
Mhm.
I take supplements, so that's different. Um, yeah, so I believe if you're really happy and you're doing your passion, you're going to be healthy. And that's basically what like all these doctors, they're saying now too. Like that's,
It matches my experience in a number of different ways. First of all, it matches
yeah.
my experience, but I started this podcast in 2012. It's because my
Mhm.
business got wiped out by the 2008 crisis. All my clientele disappeared. And then 4 years later, I'm in deep in debt and trying to figure out what the heck is going wrong. Why can't I fix anything? So I start
Yeah.
the podcast to try to answer that question. That first year, I had somewhere around 20 guests that I found to do podcast episodes with. And one of them was a gentleman who grew up it was somewhere in Southeast Asia. I'm trying to remember which country. It may have, maybe it was China, but I don't think it was. I think it was one of the smaller countries. I think it may have actually been Vietnam. But anyway, he was immensely successful. And if you know anything about Asian culture, the male side of the Asian culture is expected to be an absolute go-getter. I mean, that's just part of the value system. And it's totally all about being the provider and, to a massive, excessive degree. And if you don't do that, not only is there something wrong with you, but the culture will come down on you for it. So he became incredibly successful. He was a multi-millionaire, had all kinds of stuff going on in his business, and he had a crash and burn because the rest of his life was an absolute mess. And he went through an epiphany and realized, despite what his culture had taught him, basically it wasn't for him. He needed to find what he was passionate about because he wasn't passionate about the business. Even though he'd made millions, he wasn't passionate
Wow.
about it. And ended
Yeah.
up writing a book urging his fellow cultural countrymen to change their thought pattern on it and say, once I did this, things got better because he also got sick as a result.
Yep.
And changing his mindset is one of the key things that he did to turn things around and actually get healthy again.
I love it. It's 100%. And I believe, and it's like our superpower. And one of the things Patrick Porter says that when we have a healthy brain, and so that comes with happiness and, I mean, there's healthy, right? That our brain can produce 30,000 natural chemicals to heal the body.
Wow.
30,000. Now, don't ask me where they got that from, that they've
Yeah,
got
I'm wondering who's counting it. One, two,
yeah,
three.
somebody did. Um, and they say it's more than that, I suppose. And that's where you get people having these big turnarounds. And I've had that experience too. As soon as I figured out it was about energy, boy, my whole system changed. And Yeah. And you've experienced it too. So yeah,
Mhm.
I'm sticking to that.
I love the fact that you tied energy in. Anne Marie, we talk about energy all the time.
All the
As like,
time, yeah.
I mean, is there a week when we don't? I don't think there is.
I think every day we're talking about it
Pretty
in
much, yes.
Energy is everything and everything is energy. We're just
isn't
like
it?
moving molecules. So
Yeah.
yeah.
In fact, it actually fuels my personal definition of what life is. Um,
Mm,
because for me, it all stems from energy. And I ask myself the question, well, energy is what creates vibration. Everything vibrates. Science knows that everything vibrates. The only thing
yep.
that they've not been able to verify vibration on is a black hole, and that's just because they can't get any data out of it. But they kind of they kind of suspect, let's put it that way, that there's vibration going on there. They just can't see it. So everything vibrates, and everything vibrates. Well, why does it vibrate? Well, because it has, and there's all scientific experiments, but not experiments, explanations. But at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, okay, what got the first vibration going? Because that's the one they have trouble explaining, right? Where did that first vibration come from? And for me, that is the explanation of what life is. That vibration is life. That vibration is what causes life. Life emits from vibration, and of course, this has a almost a Buddhist
Mm,
uh, piece that goes along with it, which is it's sort of like a corollary. If everything that vibrates is alive, that means everything is alive, and that'll
mm.
spook a lot of people off. I mean,
Yeah.
that'll mess a lot of minds. So that's where my viewpoint comes from. That's where I think about it from, and I only share that with people who I feel like I can trust because I know I don't want to blow people's minds. I don't want people just having, meltdowns because I just screwed up their whole viewpoint of life.
Well, yeah, I'm with you on that, and that's beautiful. And I do think about that. I mean, I think about that with my property, and it's interesting. I have a snapping turtle in my pond, and I think it's a guy because he hasn't wandered to lay eggs or anything, and he's this is his third summer, and he got stuck in the pond in the
Hmm.
pump part.
Hmm.
So he was just laying there. He wasn't distressed, but I said, "Dude, I got to get you out of here. So, I'm not going to hurt you." And he wasn't quite sure how I was. I didn't want to pick him up. I mean, he's big enough that he could, maim my fingers.
Sure, yeah.
So I was able to get a small shovel. Once I got the shovel under him and I kept talking to him, he just lay there, so passive, and I was able to lift him up very gently. And I he didn't even jump off the shovel. I had to kind of slide him into the pond, and I had seen him a little earlier. I was cleaning the pond, and he surprised me. He didn't run away. And I asked my girlfriend, she's a biologist and very into turtles, and I said, "Is he okay? Like,
Hmm.
he doesn't act like, usually a turtle will scurry off or if they, and she goes, no, she said, actually, he's fine. He's just feeling really safe." And I went,
Hmm.
seriously? And she goes, yeah. She said he's been there for I don't know how many years. He's probably got like it's luxury hotel at your place. So he has all this food and he's probably seen you because it's been the third summer and knows that you're not going to hurt him. And I said, well, yeah, for sure. And so they catch the vibe. And I think, when you say everything is alive, they do really feel it. And I try really, to be that calm because I have a lot of snakes and I love my snakes. They take care of the rodents. And they're super chill too. They'll hang out while you're gardening and they'll just curl up in a leaf and just watch you. Um, and then everything else is alive, trees, the plants, and fun stories about plants. They'll want to grow together, or dandelions, being German. I have lots of pollinators, but I like a little bit of lawn. I admit it. So what happens though, when we start doing that in the spring, they'll crouch down and they send messages out to everybody to crouch down. And I talked to a landscaper about this. I said, am I like wacko here or is this really a thing? And she goes, oh, it's a thing. And then after the lawn is mowed, they pop up And then if you're weeding, which I do in the spring, they're like they go into seed like they're on steroids because they're going, oh, some of our kin are getting killed. Everybody bloom and get those seeds out. And she said, yeah, it's a thing.
Wow.
It's so
It makes
cool.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not so happy for the people who like green lawns, but that's their problem.
No, no, no. I know I get teased about it. Oh, however, I have so many pollinators and early, and
Mm.
we have lots on the road. So I have lots and lots of bees. And of course, but anyways, I think it's just fun. And then other plants, I also like different wild edibles.
Mm.
They know they're welcome and they'll start flourishing.
Okay. So Elka's place is the place to be. The word has gotten out. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, they do. They do. It's fun. It's really fun. I mean, I only deal with the plants, but I talk to my car too.
I talk to my car.
Do
My
you?
car knows it's loved. Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. And they do run better when they're happy and clean. I believe that.
My dad actually named all of his cars.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I mean, he didn't get a whole lot of teasing out, but I think he got some teasing because he was an engineer, so he worked in that left brain field and got a little bit of teasing on it.
But I think it's okay. I
I
mean,
think
when you
so.
have a car and, a lot of guys do really get into their cars.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I
I was
could
just
see
looking
that.
up at the clock and I realized, oh my goodness, we used the hour.
Yeah, we do.
That happens when
Oh,
things are
so
going fun.
quick.
Yeah.
I mean, that's par for the course around here, right, Emery? I mean, a- anytime we're having fun, then the time goes flying by. That's just the way it is.
Well, I
Well,
really like what you said about the life and the vibration. I mean, that could be a beautiful poem, even that section
mm,
that you said. It's
Mm.
very lovely.
thank you. Yeah. Well, we have a few things we like to wrap things up with. First and foremost, we want to give you a chance to tell people how to find you. I mean, you mentioned books for goodness sake. We didn't even name the books, but you gotta tell people how to find you here, right? This is the
Yeah,
marketing thing. Remember the marketing thing? This is the
yeah,
marketing
yeah,
part.
yeah. Well, yeah. Um, so they can find me at lovingyourlifebook.com. That's the easiest way. So lovingyourlifebook.com. And on the website, they can find lots of cool stuff. They can opt in to get a free PDF on calming techniques that I use that are very successful. That's free. And then I have other resources, and they can find all that stuff on the website, as well as the books. And the books are international. So whatever your favorite bookseller, two of them are on audio, a couple of them are translated. So yeah.
Very nice.
And,
I like
yeah.
that. I'm curious, did you do your own Audible books? Did you do your own
No, I
no?
didn't.
Yeah, you had a special book.
Actually, the woman's voice, so people have said it's similar. No, I don't know why I didn't read it. I can't tell you. I think at the time I didn't have a proper studio.
Oh,
So since then I have better equipment, and I actually did a meditation series for Brain Tap. And then I had a studio um, soften my voice a bit. Yeah.
do you like having people reach out to you through your site?
Yes, 100%. I'm also on LinkedIn, so I can do coaching internationally. Happy
Hmm.
to do that. I actually have a very cool webinar, which is about being energy rich. So if people are wanting to tap into this passion, and a lot of my clients they say, I don't know how to do that anymore. Like we did it when we were
Hmm.
babies, right? But well, we get into the shoulds and the musts and the have tos, and that's like your friend from Asia, the
Hmm.
culture. And so then we forget. We've forgotten. And so the webinar is about tapping in, and it works. So it's on site too. So Yeah,
Very
I
good.
love it if people reached out, and I love comments, and anybody that reads the book, it says at the back of the book, anybody can reach out and ask me questions. There's no charge. I don't charge for it. It's fun. And I do have people do that. So it's fun. Yeah.
Very good. I love
Yeah.
that. All right. Well, that leads to my second thing that we do. I always turn to Anne Marie to kind of sum things up, partly because she's good at it, and partly because she used to be a listener before she became a co-host. So she has the listener perspective. So, Anne Marie, what you been listening to today?
There's been so much. We've covered so much today, but for me, it stood out how we started talking about language, and then we ended up in talking about energy. And to me, that was a proper flow,
Mm.
because how impactful language is to your energy and how powerful it is. So I loved that whole. To me, it just flowed beautifully into from start to finish. But I loved the whole your brain and how to nickname your brain and talk to it and tell it you want, and almost like use it, question it, treat it like a teacher, treat it like your friend, almost like it's another person, and tell it what you want, tell it what you need. I think we so often overthink, but actually taking control of your brain and asking those questions and giving those commands, I just thought was genius. But I think what I wanted to end on is we spoke quite a lot about other people's expectations of us on our lives and how miserable it can make us. So I particularly love the whole thing about following your passion, live your
Mhm.
absolute best life, keeping yourself healthy by doing so. I loved that.
See, she's
Wow.
good at this. I told you she was good at this.
Yeah, well, you've been kind of quiet, so I know she was listening.
Oh yeah, no, I'm the one making notes in the background because I've made so many notes.
I love it. Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. You're both honoring me, so it's a privilege. Thank you.
Thank
Well, we
you.
have one more thing to do before we part company, and that is because of this 21st century thing that we're doing. I mean, you're in Canada, she's in the UK, I'm in Connecticut in the US. We're having this conversation in each other's living rooms. It's a lot of fun, but it's also pretty cool, and it's very new. It's only happened over the last 20, 30 years, something like that. As a result of that, I mean, you mentioned the marketing. I mean, marketing is a whole new thing now. They have people teaching you be your own brand and all this kind of stuff. And that leads people like yourself, like us, like others to go out and give to the world, find ways to share what we've learned, share what we found really, really works. And we're often doing it with people that well, we don't even know who they are. That's just part of the fun of it. But it's also part of that the part that we don't get any credit for. And I'm thinking, well, we should do something about that. So, Elka, on behalf of those people you've never met, never seen, never will meet, never will see, who you've been helping in ways you didn't know about just because you keep sharing your messages on their behalf, thank you for what you're doing because you are making
Aw.
a difference in this world.
Well, that is my passion. I mean, for me, when you said, can people reach out? Because then I know that I'm hearing and I have made a difference, and that means everything to me. So thank you for that. And thank you for what you're doing. This has been fun too. Like I've had a lot of fun.
Well, that means we had our daily dose of happy. So, one more
Yay!
win today.
Tick.
Very
Yeah.
good. So, thank you very much. Thank you to our podcast listeners everywhere. And we will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.
Mhm.